Not record companies, not white people, not any other people other than black people and, you know,
Right.
Puerto Rican. Because we was the ones that started this shit.
Right.
In the beginning. So we decide.
Many, many unbearable moments later.
The foundational Black American community, as far as your whole lifestyle, comes from us. Like, you're famous because we gave you the thumbs up. I've said this before, black people decide who sits at the cool table. And if we didn't want Fat Joe to sit at the cool table back then, he wouldn't have sat there.
Peace, you know who this is. First, I want to give a shout out to Cam Ward. I see you. Miami University. And I want to give out a shout out to Coach Prime and, you know, the whole Sanders family. And I want to give a shout out to myself for, you know, we celebrating, we turned up. But anyway, let's get to this video. This is Lord Jamar, the clout chasing goofy, the grifter. As you heard, he contradicting himself. Why is he contradicting himself? Because it's money in contradicting yourself. It's money in grifting. It's money in disrespecting Fat Joe. It's money in disrespecting Boricua. That's what this is about. Look what he's on. Art of the Hoa log. Art of the Bama log. A goofy from Texas who hates New York for no reason. Who's infatuated with Tupac and hates New York for no reason. Why would you go on such a platform and then spew a bunch of lies? Bunch of nonsense. Just lies. You know better than this, Lord Jamal. Even though you from upstate New York, you still up New York enough to know that what you saying doesn't make sense as far as New York City is concerned. And you need to get your act together. This is why nobody is dealing with you now. Like nobody's banging with you. Nobody bangs with you. Who bangs with you? Nobody. Nobody at all. Your own brand Nubian people don't bang with you no more. Nobody in New York City bang with you. The only people who bang with you is people who also clout chasing goofies. Who grifted. They chasing it. But I heard you say FBA is not a group in this interview. This long-winded, performative interview where you was crying about Fat Joe using the N-word like he hasn't been using the N-word for 30 plus years. Like that hasn't been something that's been going on in New York for over 40 plus years before you was even born. But anyway, you said it wasn't a group. I'm going to correct that. It is a group. And I'm going to show y'all right now by giving y'all the timeline and the history. Some of y'all might get tired of seeing this, but I got to keep showing it. No repetition is the father of learning. Y'all going to learn one way, that FBA is a hate group. And now let's get to it. So I want to take this time to actually explain how this whole ideology came to be. Because remember, FBA comes out of ADOS. It's a splinter group, but they still hold on to the ideology. So for you to really understand why FBA operates the way it operates and why they believe what they believe, we must first go back. I'm going to play a clip of Tariq Nasheed when he first started repping ADOS, then known as DOS.
Tonight. You say Yvette Carnell made up the DOS term. That's a good term. I'll take my hat off to her. The DOS term is a very good term. I actually like that. Descendants of slaves or descendants of slavery. Very good term. Now, I like that term. You know, I have my differences with Yvette Carnell, but sometimes people do good things. I like that term. American DOS, descendants of slaves, descendants of slavery. All right. I'm here. That's a very good codified term. I like that. And we need to jump on terms like that. You dig? Shout out to Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore. One thing I do commend them about, and Antonio, I've seen some of his videos. He brings good information. You know, they speak up for the African or the Black American experience?
As you heard, family, Tariq is such a grifter that he was trying to steal the term, but somebody in the audience, several people actually, in the live stream audience, made it clear that, hey, that's Yvette Carnell's term. And he had to acknowledge it. You could see it in his face that he didn't want to do it, but he had to. He tried to steal the term in true grifter fashion. So, as time would go on, he got down with ADOS. He got down with them, and then he started trying to push his own thing, which at first was Native Black American, but then he realized, hey, I can't trademark this. So he went back, and he couldn't get that to pop. So he went back to ADOS, and then he came up with the bright idea of foundational Black American, something that he could trademark and he could push. And remember, when he did that, he was still preaching that foundational Black American and ADOS is the same thing. Two terms that mean the same thing. Before he started beefing with Yvette Carnell and ADOS, and he made it a full-blown splinter group, excuse me. But he still held on to the ADOS ideology. And what is the ADOS ideology, and who is Yvette Carnell? Well, Yvette Carnell is the founder and leader of ADOS. This is her, as you see on your screen right now, with the MAGA hat. She created DOS, which now is ADOS, in about 2016-2017. Around the same time, she was a board member for PIFA. What is PIFA? Progressives for Immigration Reform. And all you have to do is go to irs.gov and you can look them up. They're a tax-exempt organization. You can get their tax records. And then when you look it up, there you see Yvette Carnell, Director. Yvette Carnell, Secretary. Yvette Carnell, Secretary again. That's right, Yvette Carnell. She was a board member, a high-ranking board member of a hate group. And some will say, well, show me that PIFA is a hate group. Because you're showing me that she's a board member, but you're not showing me that it's a hate group. Well, I'm going to do that for you right now. And we're going to start at the beginning with the man himself, John Tanton. He's now deceased, but he is the father of the modern anti-immigrant movement. Now, let's just read about him a little bit. John Tanton was the racist architect of the modern anti-immigrant movement. He created a network of organizations, the Federation for American Immigration Reform, the Center for Immigration Studies, and Numbers USA, that profoundly shaped the immigration debate in the U.S. About John Tanton. A retired Michigan ophthalmologist, Tanton had white nationalist beliefs and wrote that to maintain American culture, a European American majority is required. In his own words, I've come to the point of view that for European American society and culture to persist requires a European American majority, and a clear one at that. December 10, 1993, a letter to the late Garrett Harding, a controversial ecology professor. Now that we have learned about the racist architect of all this anti-immigrant bigotry that we see now we need to learn about the organizations he created and the networks that they spawn. Federation for American Immigration Reform. The Federation for American Immigration Reform, FAIR, is a group with one mission: to severely limit immigration into the United States. Although FAIR maintains a veneer of legitimacy that allows its principals to testify in Congress and lobby the federal government, this veneer hides much ugliness. FAIR leaders have ties to white supremacist groups and eugenicists and have made many racist statements. Its advertisement has been rejected because of its racist content. FAIR's founder, the late John Tanton, has expressed his wish that America remains a majority white population, a goal to be achieved presumably by limiting the number of non-whites who enter the country. One of the group's main goals is to upend the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, which ended a decades-long racial quota system that limited immigration mostly to Northern Europeans. FAIR's president, Dan Stein, has called the act a mistake. And now that we have some background information on FAIR, the flagship organization, now we're going to learn about PIFA's connection to FAIR. The same PIFA that Yvette Carnell was a board member of, that she only resigned from being a board member of after she got outed and exposed for being a board member of PIFA. And people started to realize, hey, PIFA is just a white nationalist front. And she left them to maintain some level of legitimacy, even though I don't understand how she could maintain any legitimacy for being a part of a white nationalist front group, especially at that high of a rank. Because there's no way you're that stupid that you didn't realize what was going on. You knew. But she left to maintain some level of legitimacy. But here, we're going to get some background information into PIFA. Many speakers at PIFA's events have links to John Tanton, the racist founder of the modern anti-immigrant movement. Representatives from Numbers USA and the Center for Immigration Studies, groups founded by Tanton, participated. The incestuous nature of the Tanton network was embodied in the person of PIFA's executive director, Leah Durant, who formerly was employed by FAIR's legal arm, the Immigration Reform Law Institute. FAIR, which the Southern Poverty Law Center lists as a hate group, was founded by Tanton, who still serves on the group's board. For a time, Durant also was a part of Choose Black America, a FAIR front group supposedly representing the interests of African Americans concerned with high levels of immigration. The group disintegrated not long after its first press conference, which was paid for and stage managed by FAIR. Now, why is this so significant? It's significant because it shows that, one, FAIR is a hate group, and PIFA is a front group for that hate group. So PIFA is also a hate group. And more alarming is that PIFA and FAIR both go out their way to create African American groups to be fronts for them. Because if you don't know, Leah Durant is black. And as you just heard me, they created a black group just for her. They have created, platform, hired, and just signal boost many black organizations. Why? Because their number one strategy is to make black people the face of the anti-immigrant movement. To say, look, it's not racist. Look, we got black people saying that we have a problem with immigration too. That's what makes this so alarming. That's their whole thing. Be anti-democrat and be anti-immigration. To make black people the front group for that. Now it's starting to click for y'all. Why ADOS, Freedmen, and FBA, all they talk about all day is anti-democrat nonsense, and they also talk about anti-immigrant nonsense all day. That's all they do. That's all they do. If you look at all their timelines, it's just about how do we attack the Democrats, how do we launder the behavior of the Republicans, and how do we attack immigrants, especially black immigrants. Because that's another way they can really prove that, hey, this is not racial, because not only are black people out in front of the anti-immigrant movement, they are also attacking black immigrants the most. So this is not racial. This is just, Americans being concerned about immigration levels. Now it's clicking, right? It's clicking where Tariq went from hitting colors to now he hates black immigrants. And he loves Trump and the Republicans. It's starting to click now. Remember, he got this ideology from Yvette Carnell. Yvette Carnell, who works for PIFA. She used to work for PIFA. Not just work for them, a board member of PIFA. A white nationalist front group that goes around creating black groups to launder their behavior. And to better show you another example of how PIFA and FAIR uses these black organizations and creates them, I'm going to touch on the Black American Leadership Alliance. And we're going to show you how PIFA uses them. What Bala did not say in that letter or during a press conference in April when it called itself the African American Leadership Council was anything about its provenance. There's a good reason for that. It turns out that Bala is simply the latest front group for FAIR, the flagship of a network of anti-immigrant organizations founded by the white nationalist John Tanton. When it first emerged in April, BALA was openly sponsored by another fair front called PIPA, purportedly an organization concerned about the environmental impact of immigration. As late as June, the media spokesperson and phone number listed on BALA's press releases were associated with PIFA. BALA is not the first African American front group formed by FAIR. In 2006, an organization called Choose Black America appeared on the scene. Its black members were selected, flown to press conferences in Washington, lodged there by FAIR. The group's spokesman was a white FAIR official. Though CBA fell apart soon after its debut, the Taunton Network's dream of appearing to represent a rainbow coalition did not die with it. In 2011, FAIR briefly sponsored Blacks for Equal Rights Coalition, a LA-based anti-immigrant organization that has been celebrated by the white supremacist Council of Conservative Citizens. BALA's members includes a familiar cast of Taunton allies, notable among them Leah Durant, an African-American lawyer who is also PIFA's executive director. Durant, who once worked for FAIR's legal arm, also spoke at the press conference held to announce the creation of CBA. As you've seen, family, this looks so familiar. ADOS, FBA, Freeman, they're looking a lot like the CBA and BALA and all the other organizations. Because we didn't even talk about U.S. blacks, all that. And as you also heard, Tanton's dream was to create a quote-unquote rainbow coalition of anti-immigrantness, where he and all his rainbow quote-unquote coalition consisted of was trying to hire black people and platform black people to be anti-immigrant and to spew racist white talking points about immigrants. And say nothing about white immigrants. Attack Democrats and be silent on Republicans. Don't this look familiar? This is what I've been telling y'all for years. This has always been the case with this group. They are a hate group. Remember? Now, after watching that, if you still calling yourself FBA, you a bozo. Straight like that. I don't know what else to tell you. Well, anyway, like I said, Lord Jamar, he knows better. He's just grifting right now, and it's a shame that this is going to be your legacy. Grifting. Grifting for a couple dollars. You left Vlad on principle just to turn around and become even more unprincipled for less money. You could have made more money doing this on Vlad without co-signing nonsense. And you would have kept more respect for yourself. People got less respect for you now. Less respect. This Bama love you getting, it ain't gonna last. You're gonna eventually say something that they not gonna like, and they're gonna turn on you. They're gonna call you all kind of tethers. Because as far as they're concerned, you're not FBA anyway. You're just a quote-unquote ally. And being an FBA ally means you just saying whatever they tell you to say, or you saying whatever they want you to say. The moment you deviate from that in any way, shape, or form, you a tether. Go ask all those other people who was so FBA'd out. And then they just say, well, I don't agree with this, or I don't agree with that, and see how they was treated. But you don't care because, again, you're grifting. You're trying to get money. But anyway, I'm going to end this video here. Like, share, subscribe, drop me a comment, tell me what you think. Donate to me if you can. I'll also take requests. I will make videos for you. I'll give you receipts, whatever you need. And on that note, family, peace.